Leopoldins don't model. They don't. Their answer to the normative question is not simply borrowed from what's natural. You can't just say that's natural, that's good, that's unnatural, that's bad. That's not what the Leopoldins are saying at all. Leopoldins are all, they're not opposed to harvesting resources as humans. Yeah.
I wonder for, in the perspective of E.O. Wilson, when he was talking about how some things that can be seen as bad for our generation, for generations later, can be a good thing. I was thinking about, so if a small volcano erupts and it destroys an ecosystem, that can be seen as bad. But then maybe the ash, since it's very nutrient heavy, right? It kind of fertilizes the land, and then generations later maybe it grows back up beautiful again. Even more so because everything's nutrient rich.
Forest fires.
Yeah.
So, all right. So it's possible that nature is just beyond good and bad, beyond morality and immorality. But we as humans have to have an understanding, and our understanding must include some moral dimension. Maybe that's not an acceptable result. I say it must include.
But is nature really nature now, considering all humans have done?
No, there is no pristine nature left anywhere. No.
Like if back to you we've seen if it was a natural cause, is it really a natural cause if we interrupt nature to such a degree? I know it's eternal, but
then that's referring to humans as not natural, and we are part of nature. We are natural, so anything that we do is natural.
That's actually something that many Leopoldins would totally agree with. Yeah, they would say that too. Yeah, that's what Collicutt says.
Would technology be considered natural then?
Well,
it's used by us, but still, it's still something different, isn't it? To the point where is it really considered?
We have to make a distinction between metaphysically, or I mean.
I'm just trying to see how it would be interpreted.
You're right, and what's your name again? Tyler. Yeah, Tyler's right. Tyler's on something when he's challenging the traditional dichotomy between human and nature, and when he points out that that dichotomy is metaphysically flawed, I think is what you're saying, yes. So that metaphysical mistake gets reinforced when we try to rely on a sense of naturalness in order to guide what's the morally right thing to do. And the claim that everything in virtue of it being the result of human activity is natural because humans are natural. That's not saying that everything's right, though. I mean, right? I mean, the fact that something's natural doesn't make it morally right or morally wrong, right? The Leopoldins insist that moral rightness or wrongness is recognized in consequences to the ecological whole. That's where we identify rightness or wrongness, not with reference to a state of nature, right? Consequences to what that ecosystem is capable of doing. If we cut down too many trees, then the forest can't renew itself, right? And it'll just gradually die, and all the animals that depend on it will go extinct, right? So that doesn't mean we can't cut down trees. It means there's a limit beyond which we've committed a moral wrong, right? We stay within the limits, and the limits are determined by ecologists, right? By an ecological inquiry into the effects of what we're proposing on the ecological whole. Okay, right? So you're not saying this is unnatural, therefore it's wrong. You're saying this action is affecting the ecosystem's ability to renew itself. Okay. Its integrity, and that, by the way, is Collicutt's reformulation of Leopold's maxim, right? A thing is right when it tends to preserve the integrity, stability, and beauty of the biotic community. What Collicutt says is that what that really amounts to, preserving the integrity, it means it amounts to preserving the ability of that ecosystem to maintain itself. We're eating into the natural capital, right? The basic point is that harvesting the interest of nature, right, is fine, is encouraged, right? And we want to do that to make our lives better, comfortable, to progress. but harvesting the capital is wrong. Once we start eating into the capital, right? You guys get that from the business, that business analogy? Taking the interest, you know, is okay, is good, but digging into the capital is bad. And that's what we're doing, right? We're digging into nature's capital. We're leaving things in the, you know, we're digging things out of the ground and putting them into the air that are inconsistent with the stable climate system, right? All right, I don't know, we didn't get through all this stuff. Yeah, go ahead.
I had a quick question about the
Yeah.
midterm.
Okay. The question about the midterm, yes.
It says that you wanted us to build an argument. Is that on these concepts? And I guess I'm not clear on that. You mean like how
You're going to answer. You're going to give me an answer to the moral struggle over thylacine restoration from the perspective of a Group A, Group B, or a WISE user, and you're going to give me the whole story, the whole narrative that Group B is going to give me. You're going to tell me how the Group B guy thinks about the nature of value. Right? Yes.
I just want to make sure you
Do
saw
philosophy. Hold on, we got 5 more minutes. Why is there one wrapping up?
I need a copy of the midterm.
Oh, I will mail that all out later today. I will email a copy of the midterm to everybody by the end of today. Okay? So you can start working on it tomorrow. All right. I know that we've kind of been all over. But this is the solution here to our salmon problem. Oh, sorry, it's not on. This is the solution. Okay. There are all these mandates, and we've been, you know, all those dams are still in place. Ecologists, biologists, salmon fisheries biologists, they've known for decades now that these dams need to be removed if we are going to enforce the provisions of the Endangered Species Act, which is driven by science, right? Those dams are inconsistent with the survival of these species that are listed on the, I'm talking about the 4 lower snake dams and possibly some of these other dams too. But the only solution, okay, we have to take out dams. There's no question about it. We just have to. We can do all these other things, right? Spend hundreds of millions of dollars every year doing all these other things, collecting the smolts above the dams and putting them in bars. We can do all that. But if we don't speed up the river, get the flow rate closer to where it was when these salmon evolved, then the salmon are going to go extinct. The river has to be got back to the way it's supposed, you know, to it's more, not all the way, doesn't have to go all the way back, but it's too slow right now. And these poor smolts, the juvenile salmon, they evolved to make it from Idaho to the Pacific Ocean in about 2 weeks, okay? And they didn't even hardly have to swim at all. They just rode the current all the way down, right? And now it takes them much, much longer than that. And if they don't make it to the estuary on time, then they don't grow up and they you know, good things don't happen for them. So they're on a schedule. So these dams, you know, these 4 lower snake dams are the most destructive, incredibly stupid. They hardly generate any power at all. They don't serve any flood control. There's no reason for them to exist other than political corruption. That's it. Political corruption. And you know, the Dallas Dam, of course, floods Celilo Falls, and it's objectionable for that reason alone. Bonneville Dam floods all those other historic fishing sites, you know, so that's objectionable too. Of course, Bonneville and the Dallas Dam are the 2 biggest power generators. Why? Because they're right there in the gorge, right? What does water do in the gorge? It falls a lot farther in the gorge. So that's why you want to put dams in places where water is going to fall a long way, because you can produce more power, right? So sadly, the very same place where humans like to harvest salmon is the same place where humans want to harvest the kilowatts. So that's why they put their dams there to cause all this trouble. Not necessarily to the salmon runs, well, you know, some of that, but to the fishermen, obviously. You can't fish when the water's too high. So, I mean, they can. Now they have to use gill nets, right? And their harvests are way down. So how do we solve all this? We create a salmon sanctuary from the Pacific Ocean to Idaho, and we make a decision about which of those dams can remain in place, and then we just get rid of all the other ones. And we restore. This is one intact fishery that we have here, right? And humans are part of it. This is an ecological whole, right? Our salmon ecosystem is an eco-whole, and the salmon wove together every part of our ecosystem, including the cultural part. So restoring salmon spawning habitats is one part of it, and then restoring traditional harvest sites is another part of it, the cultural component. And those two would be part of, if I was in charge of things, I'd get to work on that. Salmon sanctuary. We don't need these dams. That's the thing. What vital needs are being served? Ask yourself that. What vital needs? And are those vital needs, if there are any, being served by any of these dams, more important than 20 million salmon annually? Are they? Yes. What vital needs are served by the dams?
Electricity that doesn't produce greenhouse gases.
Okay. Except, you know what? Greenhouse gases are released from the reservoirs created by the dams at a much higher rate than the free-flowing river doesn't produce methane.
All right.
The reservoirs produce methane.
Compared to if you had the same amount of power generated from burning coal or gas.
Yes. But the ecological footprint of a dam is just as great, if not greater, if you think of ecological footprint in terms of the biotic communities that the dam affects. A giant dam wipes out myriad species, not just salmon and lamprey and sturgeon, but all kinds of species get wiped out by dams. And so you cannot characterize hydroelectricity as clean power unless you are willing to ignore all of that. Sure, it doesn't burn, it doesn't put smoke in the air, right? But it tears at the fabric of biodiversity.
And there are other ways to create the same power, including wind power and solar power, that don't do the same kind of damage.
And remember those serpent windings of utilitarianism? Is that where we want to be? Is that the position we want to defend? We have to do this. We have to keep these dams in place because the world is committed to using all this electricity, and if we don't use this electricity, then we'll use coal-powered, and that's dirty and dangerous and toxic, and it's going to give our kids asthma, and that's terrible, right? So, see, that's an example of a hypothetical imperative. We have to keep the dams in place because if we don't, then blah, blah, blah. But I've run out of time, and now people have a right to just abandon me. So now you're...
Today, but I am a class A.
Oh, and so, Sarah, let's talk, okay? All right, if you have any late reading summaries, just bring them in or send them to me, all right? I do accept late work, but slight discount. Okay, thanks, sir. Appreciate that.
My second class is canceled, but I have one
He
at
does say
5:40.
that
So
preserving biodiversity.
5:40 to
is more
9.
important.
Managerial.
Said that. Even though it's our
Yeah.
2:13.
2:13. But my teacher's really cool, but that doesn't make the class any better.
No, man.
See, my brother's a molecular biologist. Please don't grow up to be like my brother.
He learned more about the
Institute.
Yeah.
Well, he just, he's too much like Wilson in that he's willing to do philosophy without.
Good. Are you Sarah too? Okay, that's
we're
fine.
trained
Because
that
I'm
way.
also Sarah, and I
We're trained to become. We're trained to think like
take
that.
care of Roy.
And
But
the more
you totally can't. I was just
the farther you go into
in the email, he was like,
science,
can the student live
the
in
more
and it was like, just nobody does. I don't
I think that
terms of
totally good. But
the scientific
you're fine.
method
But I
is
was
the
like,
only
that's how you
generator of
do
true
it.
knowledge.
that and
Okay.
that things are
If you
just
then I'm completely
disposed of like
I just so
it's just a weird
be like an
concept.
issue.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot to be said for
Yeah.
consequentialism. It's just incomplete is all. Okay,
It's
so
really bad that I agreed to it. I'm very happy to do
are you the two Sarahs?
it.
Yeah.
Sarah Stone and Sarah
I
Nyman?
think
Yes.
this Sarah is gonna do it though.
Yeah, I don't work, so
It may be better for.
And you have a house that's good for dogs?
I would have to. I actually live at my dad's, but I would have to ask him first. But how long are you looking?
The only volunteer. We're talking tomorrow morning until Monday afternoon, only the weekend.
Yeah, I work 8 tomorrow. And that might not be really confused.
Well, like I said, my friend, his friend, Julia, can watch him tomorrow morning. And then you just have to arrange the transfer,
Yeah.
maybe around noon or so tomorrow, if that's what you want to do. But Sarah Stone is the one now going to do it?
I have to ask my dad first, but because he's it's his house.
Well, I want to make sure it's finalized.
Yeah, no, I understand. So what time do you need to know by?
Like now?
Pretty much.
Well, at least maybe between the two of us, we could make it work.
Well, I'm planning to depart PSU at 8:30 or 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. And I can leave Roy with Julia. And then she can arrange, or you can arrange to meet Julia sometime late morning.
Okay.
Does that sound all right?
Like I said, I just have to clear it first,
Can-
but I
can you
can
call him right
email
now?
you, he's at work, but I can email you by like 4,
Okay,
if that works.
yeah.
Cool.
But no matter what, you'll step up. If her dad just says no, then you'll step up and do it. You'll make it
My
work.
boyfriend said it's fine, I just feel bad because
Okay.
I work 9-hour shifts.
Yeah.
And so I can come home on my lunch and take him for a walk, but I don't know how long, is he usually by himself?
But he's used to being by himself for 2 or 3 hours at a time. Yeah. He's a perfect indoor dog too. He never barks. He never chews on anything.
And then if that's okay, then I would probably only be able to pick him up after work tomorrow, if your dad's is
Okay.
What time do you work tomorrow?
I work 8 to 5. So I could pick her up, or sorry, pick him up from Julia.
At 5, you're saying?
Yeah.
All right.
Or she could come to Bridgeport Village, actually, the mall,
She
in
can't.
Metropolitan. No, okay. That's good. Well, I can drive out. That's cool.
Yeah, neither do I.
But you're the number one choice, right?
As long as my
Because you don't
dad
have to
clears
work.
it, but that just depends on what he says. So cute.
Well, I don't exactly, he really is a perfect, he has no behavior problems except with other male dogs. That's the only thing you gotta watch out for when you're taking him on a walk. You see another dog.
So he's not good with other dogs then?
He's good with other dogs, just not male dogs that are his size.
Because I have 2 male dogs.
Oh.
So that might, because they're good with other dogs, but
He likes little male dogs. Are they little dogs?
Yes.
Okay, they'll get along, especially if there are 2 of them.
Yeah.
No,
And
if they're little,
one
what
of
kind
these
of
like
dogs?
super docile Shih Tzus. They're
Shih
like
Tzus?
tiny little.
They're not like pugs, are they?
No.
I think he might not like pugs.
One of them thinks he's a big dog though, so he's definitely like that.
All right, well, I wish
I
it.
might need this though. This is like therapeutic here. I want a dog more than anything.
Nice. Okay, well, I will email you by, I can probably do it by 3 today. But
You already sent me one email about it, so
yes.
I'll pester you if I
Okay.
don't hear from you.
Sounds good.